Hi all. I'm Cinema Hunter and this movie is Bird Box. In a post-apocalyptic world, Mallory Hayes advises two young, unnamed children that they will be going downstream on a river in a boat. She strictly instructs them to not remove their blindfolds, or else they will die. 5 years earlier, a pregnant Mallory is visited by her older sister, Jessica. A news report is being shown on television about unexplained mass suicides originating in Romania quickly spreading across Europe. Mallory has a routine pregnancy checkup with Jessica accompanying her to the hospital. When leaving the hospital, Mallory sees a woman bashing her head into a glass panel, followed by others panicking as chaos quickly erupts throughout the town. Mallory and Jessica attempt to drive away from the violence, but Jessica witnesses the phenomenon affecting the masses, loses control of herself as she drives, and the car ends up overturning. An injured Mallory then witnesses Jessica walk into the path of an oncoming load truck, killing herself. Mallory attempts to flee on foot through the mass chaos on the streets. A woman, Lydia, invites Mallory over to a house for safety, even though her husband, Douglas, disagrees. However, right before she reaches Mallory, she goes into a trance, begins talking to her dead mother, and casually climbs into a burning car, which subsequently explodes. Mallory is rescued and brought into their house by Tom, a fleeing passerby. While recovering at their base, one of the survivors, Charlie, theorizes that an otherworldly entity has invaded Earth, taking the form of its victims' worst fears and driving them insane before causing them to commit suicide. At the insistence of Tom, they cover all windows in the house and blindfold themselves whenever they must venture outside. Later, Greg volunteers to tie himself to a chair while monitoring the surveillance cameras to find the issue of the entity, but kills himself by rocking his chair violently and slamming his head into a hearthstone after seeing it. As the supply of food decreases and with the arrival of a new survivor, Olympia, who is also pregnant, Tom, Mallory, Charlie, and fellow survivors Douglas and Lucy decide to go to a supermarket close by to restock. Mallory finds pet birds and decides to take them along with their supplies. The group attempts to help a co-worker of Charlie who is locked outside the supermarket begging for help, and whom Charlie describes as a little crazy. As they contemplate the risks of opening the door, the birds Mallory was saving go into a hysterical fury. The group is attacked by the infected coworker, who was not killed by the entity, but is instead used to infect others. Charlie sacrifices himself to save the others, who are able to make it back safely to the house. Sometime after, Felix, a survivor, and Lucy steal the car and drive away. Soon thereafter, Olympia lets Gary, a stranger and apparent lone survivor of another group, into the house. Against Douglas's objections, Douglas gets extremely upset and starts threatening the others with a shotgun, and is knocked unconscious by Cheryl, an elderly survivor. Douglas is subsequently imprisoned in the garage. Later, Olympia and Mallory go into labor, and Cheryl helps with the births. Gary starts to take out various drawings of the entity and seems to undergo a trance, indicating that he could have already been partially overtaken by the entity when he arrived. He peeks outside and is completely taken over. He then knocks out Tom and proceeds to remove all the coverings from all the windows. Olympia then jumps out of the window, and Cheryl grabs a pair of scissors and stabs herself in the neck. Douglas is killed by Gary when Douglas tries to stop him, while Mallory tries to protect the newborn babies, Mallory's boy and Olympia's girl. Tom recovers consciousness in time to overpower and kill Gary. 5 years later, Tom and Mallory are living together with the children, whose only names are boy and girl. They receive a transmission from a survivor stating that they are well and safe at a community hidden in the forest. The four decide to go to the community, but are ambushed by a group of infected survivors along the way. Tom sacrifices himself to save Mallory and the children. Mallory, the children and their pet birds, which are contained in a box to protect against the entity, make their way, blindfolded, down the river on a boat. They fight off an infected survivor and survive raging rapids. The entity chases and tempts the children and Mallory to remove their blindfolds, but is unsuccessful, and the three eventually reach the community. Mallory learns that the community is a former school for the blind and that many members of the community are blind. Because of this, Mallory releases the pet birds from the box to the other birds up on the ceiling. Mallory finally gives the children names Tom and Olympia.